Welcome to another powerful episode on Quiet Empire. I'm your host, Safaa Alam. Today I'm sitting with a woman who embodies what it means to build with heart. Megan Root is the CEO and co founder of Grounded, a Kenyan based company creating safer, non toxic cleaning supplies and personal care using African grown ingredients. I admire her for building boldly, authentically, and thoughtfully. So, Megan, I can't wait to hear your story.
Great. Very happy to be here today. Great to
Yes,
meet you.
I'm very happy to meet you too. So, before we start talking about business, I wanted to get to know your early years. Where did you grow up and how was your childhood like?
I had a fairly unique childhood in the sense that I am Californian, but I grew up in Asia. I grew up in Hong Kong and Singapore. So from a very early age was exposed to the big world, um, flying, across the Pacific and, you know, jumping
Lovely.
around to, yeah, exciting different places. And the reason that we moved as kids was my dad was in a manufacturing industry. And so we went over to set up some factories. That was his big job.
What kind of home or environment shaped you the most while growing up?
Living in Hong Kong definitely shaped me big
Yeah.
time. I moved there when I was 10, and it blew my mind. Hong Kong is an incredible city.
Yeah.
It's so vibrant, so diverse, and just has this like absolute energy that's kind of irresistible.
Yeah.
And it's also a place that I really just sort of felt like I connected with the energy of the city as the city was getting onto the world stage. And there's elements that I feel like in Nairobi that are
Yeah.
similar. Is just like there's a hustle,
Yeah.
right? And there is an ambition there
Exactly.
that really stuck with me.
Lovely. Would you say that journey is what helped you connect with wellness and nature?
Definitely, it's a bit of a stretch to say that Hong Kong is a very natural place.
Mhm.
It's a very urban place.
Yeah.
But both Hong Kong and Singapore have such a strong, Chinese tradition, and traditional Chinese medicine is, some of the oldest and best knowledge that we have about
Exactly.
how to be well. Definitely one thing that really has stuck with us as a family, having lived in Asia as young kids, is the way that Chinese people approach their wellness is baked into their daily life. So it's not about supplements and it's not about going to the gym. It's
Yeah.
about eating well combined foods. It's about food as medicine. Um, and it's about just all of these subtleties, that they've learned over 5,000 years about how to treat our bodies well.
What did you want to be when you grew up?
Mm. So when I was in high school, I definitely had a corporatist ambition. I was kind of left high school saying, I'm going to start a conglomerate. That was my modest ambition.
Yeah.
Fast forward some years, we're now here in Nairobi and we have a mini conglomerate of 3 consumer product businesses. So in some ways, I wasn't too far off
Yeah.
from my high school ambition, though the scale and the content of what we're doing now is quite different to what I imagined as a
Right.
child. Yeah.
So, in your early adulthood and your career, before Grounded, what did you originally imagine your career would be like?
I definitely have always loved manufacturing. I love products. I love the tangibility of
Yeah.
making physical things. When I was graduating uni, everyone was going into banking, tech, and consulting. And, it just didn't feel real to me. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, those are real money making industries and real talent and real brain power for the world. But just, I think there's something so beautifully naturally fulfilling about making stuff. And
Yeah.
it's, part of our humanity is how do we take this one thing, add a couple of things to it, and create
Exactly.
something new. And yeah, in a world where we're just increasingly digital, it was just always so powerful to me to be able to come back to we made 1,000 tons of soap today, like there's nothing that can kind of take away from that productivity and the feeling of contribution.
So, your training in China is actually a very unique experience. How did that opportunity come about?
I met my husband in Mongolia. He is a Irish guy. He's an engineer. I spoke Chinese. Together, we were one qualified expat to go work for this global company. So yeah, we started our careers in Chengdu, which is the home of the pandas in China.
Wow.
And our job was to help build a factory, help build a new factory operation for this multinational company. The company made electronic components. So it was a supplier to Apple. So it was a very technical experience. That experience created an incredible foundation for us, learning end-to-end manufacturing, design, working with all kinds of engineers. And from that foundation, we've had the audacity to go on to make other businesses and make
Yeah.
other products.
So, what was it like living and working in China?
Mm. We were in China from 2006 to 2009, and I think this was a pretty special time. From the outside, China can seem very homogenous, and while we were living there, we just had an incredible diversity of experience, and I'm so, so happy to have had that exposure, to not only the core skill set of manufacturing, but also, like, the inherentness of wellness in their culture, and I think that's something that you can't really tell from the outside, and when you're there living it, you're
Yeah.
eating in a certain way, and definitely they have so many opinions about women's wellness, right? If you're on your period, "Oh, you cannot drink ice water." You know, and there's so many things that just kind
Yeah.
of get worked into the way of life there
Exactly.
that are very much grounded in wellness.
Yeah.
Having my first job be such a proper corporate experience was incredibly powerful in my career. Like,
Yeah.
it was that job was such a good foundation. It gave me confidence, I learned so much, um, and it deepened my love for product. So it wasn't so much as, I didn't learn something new, I learned more about what I loved, let's say. So it deepened my interest in manufacturing, product design, and creating good stuff for the world. And then, yeah, I'm Chinese, I speak Chinese, I eat like a Chinese person. There's a lot of things that just kinda got baked into my lifestyle from that time. And yeah, very happy to be growing around Nairobi, also hanging out with Chinese people, going to Chinese Chinatown and things
Yeah.
like that. So yeah, having that exposure and that experience with Chinese culture has been a global thing, right? There's Chinese people all over the world, and it's been very fun to interact with that side of the world in this part of the world.
Walk us through your journey when you moved here to East Africa. What you relocated here in 2013. What drew you here?
It was a job,
Mhm.
and it was a job to start a factory. So it was the perfect combination of our manufacturing interest, background, and adventure. Um, I would say the first time I came to the continent, though, we were doing a round the world trip. So after we finished our jobs in China, we were like, okay, let's do an adventure. And kind of like looking at the map, how far can we go overland?
Yeah.
And South Africa was the answer. So we drove from China to Cape Town. That was in 2010, 2011. That was my first time coming through this part of the world. And I did have this sense of like, all the factories, where's all
Yeah.
the stuff being made, you know? And you see all this beautiful landscape and beautiful things that we grow, and so little value addition here, you know, taking all our good stuff and shipping it elsewhere, for others to add value and make money off of. And so my first time in East Africa really felt like, oh no, there's something interesting here where we could contribute. And yeah, a couple years later, a job announcement went around the Bay Area. My friends forwarded it to me saying, this is a job in manufacturing. You're the only people we know that do manufacturing. And that was the job that brought us here. The company's called Burn Manufacturing. They make efficient cook stoves, so Jikos, electric cookers. They're one of the biggest manufacturing operations in Kenya now, and we're just so happy that that was what brought us here. We're so proud of what that company has accomplished. And yeah, that was also our first introduction of that of social enterprise in manufacturing. So it's making products that are better for humans, better for the environment. So from day one in East Africa, it was that's our mission. Make stuff, make good stuff.
What surprised you the most about working and living in Kenya?
The thing that has really stuck with us is the hustle. I think the hustle, you know, we feel that every day in so many different ways. I love cities because they bring together such diversity of human experience, and every level of Nairobi is hustling. I think also just the general state of happiness, you know? I mean, obviously the world is a crazy place and there's terrible things that happen every day, but there's just a default of being uplifted. And yeah, we have great weather, we have great trees, we have all the good stuff around us. And I just feel like people are able to appreciate that here. Really appreciate life's little treasures, right? Life's
Yeah.
little delights.
I absolutely agree with that. So you mentioned working at Burn Manufacturing, right? So how did your work at Burn Manufacturing and Phoenix International shape the way you think about impact and manufacturing?
Burn Manufacturing makes these cook stoves that really deliver value for customer. Not only is it helping people save money, but it's reducing the negative health impacts of cooking over charcoal. Phoenix is a pay-as-you-go solar company, so that one was about similarly replacing harmful things in people's homes with a solar-powered device. Let's say a kerosene lamp. Let's say kids would need to study and they would use kerosene, and kerosene is harmful, it's hard on the lungs, it's very dangerous. So those two social enterprises were using product as a way to really deliver tangible benefits to customers. And it's not just lip service, it's not vague, it's really specific and impactful and helpful. And yeah, both of those products, yeah, they're designed for this market, designed for these customers. So one thing we love is really trying to figure out, how do you not just bring solutions from elsewhere, but really think about, what does this market need and want? And what is the specific design, that we can really get behind, that delivers value to the customer.
I'm also really drawn to your wellness journey. I would love to speak about that. Where did that begin for you?
I was an athlete as a kid, so I think from a young age, treating my body well, taking care of my body, pushing my body, being healthy was a part of my lifestyle. But yes, when you're young, it's not a very sophisticated wellness approach, for sure. Then I went to college, then I got pretty not healthy.
Yeah.
Got really addicted to Lucky Charms cereal that
Oh,
was
wow.
very available in my university.
Yeah.
So in my university, definitely, I was not very nice to my body and I developed allergies. I would just wake up every morning and just be sneezing and having so much makamasi. And like, I just remember thinking like, oh, is this my life now? I'm just like always sneezy. And that kicked off a renewed interest in Chinese medicine, looking at diet, and just thinking about how to heal something
Yeah.
in myself. The wellness community calls that condition leaky gut. So it is from usually eating not great things. And your intestinal lining does get inflamed. And that's just where you have, yeah, it's basically a constant inflammation, that kind of allergy. And you're able to heal it by healing your gut. So it was kind of from that initial thing of like, oof, I don't want to be snotty my whole life. I don't want to
Yeah.
be sneezing every morning. To rediscovering and renewing my interest in Chinese medicine and using that kind of as a guide. And in particular, we came across this one author who writes about the Tao. So Chinese medicine has a couple of different elements, but Taoism is one thread, and Taoism is the most ancient wellness tradition that I've come across, almost as old as Ayurveda. And it is just, 5,000 years of learning about how to be a healthy person in every aspect. And what I like about Taoism is it's welcoming in a way. There's a lot of different ways you can be well, right? You can focus on eating healthfully, you can focus on the kind of movement, you can focus on breathing, the way we practice healthy sexual behaviors as part of Taoist medicine as well. All of these essences and vitalities that we have in us. Taoism is an approach to cultivating and maintaining our vitality.
Yeah.
And there's many different ways that we can do that. So that was our foundation, coming into my wellness journey, was looking at, yeah, this ancient way of living and seeing what things can I adopt into my life. Um, I think generally wellness is a journey, right? And wellness is about habit stacking, and it's about changing your mindset a little bit. And so quite quickly in my wellness journey, yeah, artificial foods, artificial fragrances, all of these things just started to feel very artificial and very not natural. And so once you calibrate yourself towards something that's a little bit more authentically from nature, yeah, it's a very beautiful mindset, and it's quite easy then to filter out all the noise.
So, in what ways have those practices shaped who you are? Not just what you're building, but who you are as a person.
I definitely am a bit of a simple person, and I think having the wellness frame in that helps to keep things simple. Yes, I'm not so easily distracted by hot beauty trends, for example. I just kind of like, okay, I just go with simple fundamentals and keep those simple fundamentals, um, where I put my energy. Um, and yeah, building routines around it, is definitely thing that I think is very powerful for everyone. And yeah, once you kind of get into a routine, stack another little routine on top, those routines combine, and then you feel like you're addressing a number of aspects of your personal health, um, in an easy way, in a simple way, because it just becomes normal.
So, your wellness journey wasn't just about your body, it was how you live and relate to the world. I love that. So, moving on to your personal story, how did you and your partner meet?
Mm. I found Owen in a hostel in Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia. I was backpacking. He was traveling around the world, and we had just one of those classic hostel romances. No,
That's cute though.
yeah.
That's really cute.
Yeah, no, it's great fun meeting people backpacking. You actually get to know them very quickly.
Yeah.
So kind of within a couple of days, I was like, "Oh, no, this guy's interesting.
Yeah.
This guy's interesting." That was about 20 years ago. So we've really been making a go of it. So yeah, I met him in Mongolia, traveled together, lived in China, traveled around the world, and then now we've been in Nairobi for about 14 years. Yeah, so he is from Ireland. He's the oldest of 7 kids. So I have a beautiful big family on that side. Um, and yeah, we now have 2 children. They're both born here, and they don't talk like me.
Oh, okay. How do they talk?
Like Kenyans.
Oh, lovely.
We have accent wars all the time.
Yeah. What has marriage taught you about partnership, balance, and growth?
My husband and I are very good friends, and that is a beautiful thing, but that's also led us to make some interesting decisions that have put us more and more on top of each other. So we started a couple businesses together, 254 Brewing, the craft brewery, and Booch Kombucha. So we not only are good friends and we're parents and we're married and all that good stuff, we're also business partners. And so I think we like to work together and we like to push each other. We also just see the same value in the use of our time. So we're quite similar in, yes, being driven to provide good products, and create jobs and create factories and create brands. So marriage has definitely taught me that there are so many different layers to relationships. And yeah, how we co-parent, how we are as friends, how we are as business partners. All of those things have so many different dynamics. And at any given time, you're nurturing one or more of those layers. And sometimes there's too many layers, and sometimes you need to also bring other people in for balance.
Exactly. Very
So
true.
very happy that yeah, we have a great network of friends. And then my sister and co-founder of Grounded, Allison, is also part of our tight crew. And so yeah, having marriage and family and business and friendships, all of those things, making sure your network, not just your husband, but your network provides all those different support systems.
You mentioned you're a mother of two. How has becoming a mother changed you personally?
It is definitely life changing becoming a mother. The biggest change for me was realizing that it is a fun thing. When I was growing up, I definitely didn't give off a maternal vibe. I was very driven and ambitious, and I did like business and sports and all that. And just when we got to that point in our lives of like, oh yeah, there's something in us, this desire to be productive, to reproduce. I was surprised at how much I enjoyed the journey, and I'm enjoying the journey currently. It made me realize that we have this biological intuition, and I would not have appreciated that before. I wouldn't have thought that I had that biological intuition to be a caring, motherly character. And so I was able to surprise myself, and I was able to learn something more about, yeah, this body. What can we do with this body? It's insane. Grow little humans.
I understand that. I actually can relate to that. How has motherhood influenced what you think about safety, products, and what you bring inside your home?
Like so many female entrepreneurs, there is something about that motherhood experience that changes the way we think about things. We can think so much about taking care of ourselves, but there is just a limitless amount of energy that goes into caring for our children. I mean, it is just so much intentional thought and care. And sometimes that can spin us around into stress. There's a lot of things to think about suddenly when faced with this new little fragile little being. And I think for me, it was really reinforcing, of some of my perspectives about wellness, because it is just like, what is the most natural thing? Not necessarily the thing that you see in the ads and the things that you see in the shops, but what is our traditions? And I say this because soap is really ancient and it's really boring, but it's so effective at
Exactly.
doing what we need as humans. So definitely becoming a mother really was the start of the grounded idea. And it was that way you see your kid licking the floor because they do that when they're little.
Yeah.
And you sort of have this feeling. I had this moment of, well, I actually don't really care if it's licking dirt. I care if they're licking chemicals from the cleaning products that have been put all over
Right.
that floor. And so that was a light bulb moment. And it is just trying to think about these little so sensitive and they're being bombarded by things that I didn't choose for them to be bombarded by. And so how can we take more control? How can we simplify things? And how can we just, go back to basics and use that kind of approach in parenting and caring for our kids? Basics, fundamentals.
Hearing all that really helps me understand who you are at your core. But let's touch base on values because as mothers, so much of our values are instilled by our mothers, and we want that to carry on to our kids. So, how would you describe yourself in 3 words outside titles or roles?
One is panda-like, as
Okay.
much as I am very kind of ambitious. I also am very chill. So there is an element of, yes, of relaxation and panda-ish playfulness that I bring into life. A panda-like, not a very common word that people would use to
That's
describe
unique.
themselves.
That's unique, but I like it.
Um, Another word is bright. I do like to bring a lot of energy to whatever I'm doing. I I think fast, I talk fast, and being bright and energetic is something that I want to bring into life. I like to take the work seriously, but I don't take myself too seriously. I take work seriously, I take my contribution seriously, but I don't take myself too seriously. And I like that approach. I like being able to be driven and confident and ambitious while also being able to laugh at the insanity that is life.
I love that. Those are actually very unique, but really nice. So, when things get really difficult, which values would you say you move towards?
It is important to, yeah, separate what is a work stress from what is the stress that I'm bringing into me, and constantly checking those things. And when you're entrepreneuring, it's very hard to separate them for sure. But that way of, yeah, I can take the work seriously, but I don't have to take myself too seriously. And we can laugh at things and we can take a step back. Um, yeah. And just returning to a panda-like state at the end of the day is also pretty nice, of just like, okay, we tried hard, we did our best, and now let's just have that bit of rest, relaxation, recovery.
Yeah, that's really important. I feel like a lot of people overlook that and they're in constant work mode. And then at the end, you just find yourself in this extreme burnout situation.
It's insane how long we can sit in front of computers and not breathe very
Exactly.
well. Like, I mean, that there's whole days that I'll go by and I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been at this computer, kind of stress breathing the
Yeah.
whole day. My nervous system shot. And yes, this world of technology, we can get so sucked in. And so we do need traditions and we do need habits and we do need people around us that help
So
get us out of that. Mm.
if you do find yourself in that moment, how do you snap out of it?
Thankfully, I do have my sister around me as well, so we try to help each other in that way.
Mhm.
Um, of like, it's a kind of a look sometimes, like you're being a bit too much right now, So it helps to have people around you that keep you in check and to help put a mirror in front of you when you are kind of being a bit crazy, Um, so yeah, having people around you to keep you in check is really important. I have not been very good about doing walking meetings and making sure to get outside in the workday. I do work in a factory and we do have outdoor space. But there's something interesting about making that part of a daily routine of just, yeah, taking that 10-minute walk. So that's something that we try to bake into our work. The rest of our team and work is, yeah, eat your lunch, go have a little walk. That's also another Chinese thing, actually. At all of the factories we worked at in China, you would do a 20-minute lunch and then you do a 10-minute walk and then be back at the desk. But so baking those little tiny habits into things are so important. Um, and then having people around you to kind of keep you accountable when you're
Those small things actually end up being the biggest difference in your day to day life. So, those values clearly shape how you see the world, which leads perfectly into the problem you saw and then eventually became grounded. So, I would love to talk more about the moment you started noticing the gap. During your wellness journey, what made you start to pay more attention to looking at cleaning products?
in my wellness journey, I learned that there's so many different ways to be well. And there are so many boring things that we can do that really make the investments in our wellness impactful. And so I often use the example of organic food because, yes, we should be buying organic food. We should be focusing on eating healthier food. What I often advise people, though, is to look at how you're cooking the food. So it's what you're buying, how you're cooking it, and both those things together are impacting your body pretty significantly. The modern consumer product landscape throws so many things at us. We should want more convenience and we should want nonstick pans and we should want all of these things that are convenient for us. We are not focusing enough on the little elements of those innovations and how they are impacting our bodies over time. And then also we have compounding things. Um, so yeah, we in Nairobi, we know outside we have matatu smoke and we have burning trash, and we know that those things are bad. And you come home and you're like, "Ah, haven, right? This is a safe space." What modern studies are showing us is that the indoor air quality of that haven home is not as good as we think it is. So yes, some things are coming into our home from outside, but a lot of things we bring in our homes to stay in our homes. Where I'm going with this is there's lots of different ways that we can think about being healthy. What we eat, how we move, what we breathe, what kind of water we drink. There's so many different of those fundamental elements. And there's this one other element, which is how we keep ourselves clean and how we keep our environments clean. And this is an area that is, yeah, like I say, it's not very sexy, but it's so impactful because if we change the chemicals we're bringing into our home, all of those other investments deliver for us. We invest in nice skin cream and we sleep on a non-toxic mattress and a non-toxic pillowcase, and those things all work well together.
Mm.
Versus you spend the money and you feel good about the organic beauty, and then you kind of are having this like phthalate off-gassing in your face all night, right? It's undoing what you think you've invested the good money in. I'm doing something good for myself, and I want people to really feel all the benefits of doing something good for themselves. And getting chemicals out of your home, these cleaning chemicals out of your home, really helps all those other investments deliver for you. I want people to be excited about their wellness journey. And so many things about wellness can seem like incredible burdens, right? Like, oh, I have to do this, or oh, I can't do that. It feels restrictive sometimes. And I think we have so many opportunities to find joy in the little elements of wellness. And so while I personally do not like cleaning, I'm not passionate about cleaning. When I do clean with grounded, it does make me feel good.
Yeah.
It makes me feel, my hands feel nice. The essential oils make me feel nice. And then just like the finished product is, so the consumer product industry and the cleaning industry is definitely quite focused on tricking women and frankly, not doing us a disservice. We do the majority of the world's cleaning as women. We have the majority of the negative health impacts related to that. And so we see the rise of infertility, we see hormone disruptions, we see skin and allergies and lung, we see all of these problems around the world. And is it only cleaning products that cause it? No, but cleaning products are definitely such a big contributor to women's health. And yeah, we remove those burdens, those toxic cleaning chemical burdens from women. And yes, the rest of our systems can function so much better.
I love the way you've spoken about all that. It really makes me understand. So, why do you think indoor pollution and household chemicals are often overlooked?
As a consumer base, we are getting more discerning. I think we've gone from not having a whole lot of product options 100 years ago to having way too many options
Right.
now. And I think as we've become more curious about what's in these products, some industries are very satisfying. Beauty, food, you have to disclose. Manufacturers have to disclose 100% of what's in there. So we can be very empowered in controlling our own wellness in so many ways because regulatory bodies and industries have required disclosure. However, cleaning does not fall into that bucket. Cleaning product manufacturers are not required to disclose what's in their products. That makes it very hard for people to even start to ask questions. So it's only just now are people starting to kind of have a little bit of a think about like, okay, well, we're thinking so much about what's in our food and what goes on our skin. But what about what goes on the clothes that's touching our skin all day? And then if you start to have that curiosity, it's kind of hard to understand what is really in Omo, right? What is really in even Eco or some of the eco kinds of cleaning products because they don't disclose all of their ingredients. I want people to be able to access knowledge, right? That is the modern life that we can live, right? We have access to so much information. And this cleaning industry is one that has been hiding chemicals, creating new chemicals, increasing profits, and just really not caring for customer. So again, maybe this is because cleaning started as a very female targeted industry, but there's just not care for customer there. There's care for tricking customers. And it's like, you're going to, we all have such an interesting association with what does clean feel like? And usually it's like, my nose is burning, right? I know I clean that because my nose is burning
Eyes are watering.
and my eyes are watering, right? And I'm coughing. That means it's working. So there's something kind of crazy there about that kind of behaviors that we've all been told to believe that we need that kind of chemical strength to keep ourselves clean and safe. And in developing Grounded, we wanted to provide not only a very simple solution, but also one that was backed by tradition. When we started all of our chemical proliferation without understanding impact on humans or the environment, we just sort of went down this path that is very hard to sort of scale back. And so what Grounded did, we just went back 100 years. What were we doing 100 years ago? And this is a little bit what we see in the food scene here in Kenya too, because some people are like, oh, organic food. Everyone's talking about organic food. Then they go home to Shags and they're like, yeah, my grandma ate organic. We went so quickly from being a very organic country. This transition to being a chemical laden nation comes from a couple of different aspects, but one is lack of regulation. Two is increased pressure on more, better, faster. And then companies can come in and say, I have the product that does more, better, faster for you. And all of these consumer product brands are really good, like I say, at tricking customers, at really capturing customers' interest, making customers feel like they need it. All of these things together just means we've created habits of bringing products into our home that don't do us any service. And it takes, yeah, some strong minds out there and some strong voices out there to start to bring the attention that we've brought to beauty and food into these other aspects of products in our home. And just happy to say that there's some really nice solutions, and the solutions are not complicated.
Yeah. So I'm curious to know when you realized that there was no accessible solutions in East Africa, what went through your mind at that time?
When we started looking for solutions, for our own cleaning products in my own home. It was that moment of, "Oh, no, there's nothing really on the in the shelves here." And look, yes, maybe America, Europe has some options, but still, like, for finding real quality alternatives in the cleaning space was hard. We had one brand that was imported and inconsistently available and very expensive when I started Grounded. Um, so the gap that we saw was very few alternatives, inconsistently available, expensive, and not made here. And so the gap that we saw for Grounded, where we were able to really provide a solution, is something that is simple, authentic, locally made, and that connection to our own environment here, connection to nature, bringing nature into product, is something that we as Kenyan consumers like absolutely deserve, right? We're the home of the best stuff. We grow the world's best stuff. Let's just bring all of that quality into all of the products that we have access to. So yeah, we saw just an incredible opportunity to be in a brand that inspires people to be natural and that brings simple and authentic solutions, but that also listens to customer, and really tries to think about how do we make a transition from conventional into non-toxic as easy as possible for people. And what that ended up looking like was a bunch of different products. So Grounded now has about 50 different products because these products are well formulated, simply formulated, deliver on all of our values, but create so much opportunity for customers to engage with something different. And so that was one of what we wanted to bring to the market. It's not just laundry powder, which might inspire some, it might not inspire others, but we also have lotion and we also have shampoos and conditioners and room sprays and just
Those are my
various
favorite, the
things.
room
Oh,
sprays.
there's so many different ways we can bring alternatives as Grounded. And so we are just so happy to be able to play in so many different product categories that creates more opportunity for our customers to join the Grounded way. And we just are continuously able to deliver on our brand promise of this is better for you than what's out there, and it's made here with Kenyan ingredients.
Did you ever doubt that this was a problem worth solving?
Hmm.
Did it ever cross your mind?
One beautiful thing about the entrepreneuring journey is that you get to build this confidence over time. When we started, for sure, I saw a beautiful solution. I didn't know if customers would feel the same way. And one thing about building business, especially Grounded, has been a slow growth. And we've pole just built up our customer base, built up our product portfolio, built up confidence that our solutions are delivering value for customer. So not only am I still incredibly 100% passionate and dogged about it, I have now the experience in the business realities of it is working. It is working. Also, when we look around the world, we see non-toxic solutions on every continent growing nicely. So there is a trend, there is a global trend there. We are a part of it, and we have something unique to offer that global marketplace as well.
So once you saw the problem, you didn't just stop. You decided to act. So let's talk about how you actually built the solution. How did you move from identifying the problem to actually creating the solution?
The internet is a beautiful thing. Where we started as Grounded as we were looking at DIY recipes online.
That's interesting.
How do you just go super simple, right? So if you just have one core ingredient, soap, you can use it to clean everything in your house. And so I was just playing with iterations of DIY recipes with one or two core ingredients. So yeah, at Grounded, we believe a lot in the power of soap and also the power of vinegar. And those two things are just so effective at providing all kinds of solutions around the home. One of our big journeys, though, was as much as I think it could be a great solution, it's making sure that the customers want it. um, so a lot of our product development work in the early days was sitting with cleaners, sitting with Mama Fua, right? Tell us about how you clean. What products do you like? What products do you not like? And that market research was just so essential. I can think whatever, right? It's not about me. It is about who is using the products
Yeah.
and making sure I'm providing better solutions for them. So we started with DIY recipes. using core ingredients of soap and vinegar. We wanted to make multi-purpose products. We thought that was the most value for customer. This one product. Customers were like, no, I don't get it, Megan. I want something for my floors. I want something for my dishes. I want something for that. So that was that market feedback that helped us bring a brand to market that had what people wanted and what people wanted to see. And we have not stopped innovating in product. We are constantly looking for ways to encourage people to get grounded. And yeah, sometimes that is a room spray, and sometimes that's a shampoo, and sometimes it's a body bar, and sometimes it's toilet cleaner, you know? So we do have all of these different solutions to cover every aspect, because we know we can deliver value for customer in all of those different ways. So we are very committed to constant experimentation, constant development, and we're very committed to listening to customers. And in listening to customers, we're able to build a more and more powerful brand.
Exactly. How did your experience in manufacturing play in developing Grounded?
Manufacturing is not rocket science. The science of manufacturing is just being able to make quality products consistently and sell them at the right price. So not only do we have the audacity to know that we can develop products, but we have the audacity to know that we can manufacture them here, train people up to do it, create jobs. Ultimately, being a manufacturer has just given us so much confidence that we can build a good business, a business that is strong financials, treats our employees well, and provides good products. So it's a well-rounded perspective, I think, on being a company.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, you spent 3 years in product development.
I would say at this point, it's almost my entire career has been in product development. Yes, but when I started, I was in new product development in a corporate.
What did that season teach you?
It taught me that learning in a big company is very powerful. Being a part of a big organization, of course, we can figure out so many things ourselves in life in an entrepreneuring, but I see so many entrepreneurs that don't have the same kind of technical background and training that I have, and I think life is a bit harder. That it's really, I think one of the best things we can do as humans is learn from all of our all of our mistakes and successes. And as a society, developing these big corporates that make iPhones, for example, they figured out a lot of things. They have a lot of best practices and they've learned a lot of lessons from mistakes. And so I just feel that having a corporate experience was such a powerful foundation. And in new product development in bigger companies, I mean, it is learning about a lot of technical skills. It's a lot of technical skills that create good products. And we're able to take some of those complicated structures, simplify them, and deploy them here. And 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 our team also benefits from my technical background. We see things kind of in a straightforward way. We're able we are a little bit more able to operate under best practice as opposed to having to learn the hard way. Um, and in my technical experience in new product development, the importance of listening to the customer, designing for customer needs, and also doing the hard engineering work of thinking what could go wrong here. Engineers, I'm not an engineer. I'm a pretend engineer, and spend I've developed all my products with engineers, but engineers tend to think in a very pessimistic way. They think, what are all of the things that can go wrong here? And that is a powerful way of thinking, but it also does need a complement in a business person. Business person needs to sit with an engineer and be like, okay, we'll worry about these three things, not all 100. Um, so bringing technical engineering structures and best practice from my corporate background into Grounded has been something that's been very uplifting um, as we navigate towards successful business.
During those moments, did you ever think that this is taking too long? Did you ever have any doubt?
Mm. Oh gosh, yes, definitely. Things do take long. Building businesses take long. Doing something innovative takes a while to really get the traction that you're looking for. I think we feel that on the daily, we're doing so much, on the week, you're doing so much, on the month, you're doing so much. Um, but sometimes it just feels like, oh gosh, we're still talking about this. We're
Yeah.
still struggling with this. We still haven't cracked that. There are so many challenges in running a business, starting a business, creating a new product industry as we have, because there wasn't really any non-toxics here before Grounded. We are constantly evaluating, where do we put our time to see the impact on the business? And I think in the early days, everything took so long. Now we do have a little bit more of a sense of, okay, we know that that government process is going to take about 6 months and we're not going to stress ourselves too much about it. We're just going to take the 6 months to do it. There's something about building that intuition over time of some things do take long. You don't have to anchor your business success on those long things, the things that kind of drag you down. So as we've developed Grounded, yeah, developing that intuition of where do we put our time and energy that creates like the biggest impact for the business and for our customers.
So, what is really powerful is that you didn't just build any solution, you built it locally. So, let's talk about that choice. Why was it important for you to build Grounded using Kenyan ingredients?
First of all, I've always wanted to make happy factories. And happy factories are ones that are connected to the products that they're making and putting out in the world, but also connected to the products that they're working with. So, what comes into the factory for me was always very important. Buying things from labs, chemical ingredients that maybe are non toxic, it's all too vague for me. So, yeah, the general approach of Grounded was going back to basics. How do you go back to basics in a production scenario is you start sourcing from nature directly. Yeah, everything that comes through that Grounded door is coming from farmers, agri-processors. Um, in the developing the solution of Grounded, we knew that we could make these products using things that we grow in Kenya. And so we've designed the whole solution on what is available here. And that feels great. It feels great for the team. We know that we're supporting coconut farmers on the coast and canola farmers up in Nanyuki and sunflower farmers and essential oil farmers. And um, we have so much incredible plant beauty here. Our job as Grounded was just to try to maximize that beauty, turn that beauty into everyday products.
What challenges comes while choosing local manufacturing?
Mhm. The manufacturing sector in Kenya is still growing. Uh, we do have challenges with consistency of supply sometimes from our suppliers. We have challenges sort of navigating ever changing government regulations that do tend to hit manufacturing pretty hard. And just generally as an employer, we care a lot about our employees. And we have found that it's challenging sometimes to be a good employer and navigate some of the government regulations. While there are challenges, we just have felt that there's so much opportunity. And there's so much opportunity to create new businesses, to build small businesses to the point that you kind of can see the customer traction. We can create so many jobs. There's just so much opportunity that the challenges are definitely worth it.
Uh,
One surprising element of manufacturing in Kenya is there's not a lot of investment interest in it, especially kind of in our sector in consumer products. In premium consumer products, there's so little investor interest. So few investors thought that this was a good idea. And that was something that I struggled with in the early days. So it took me a while. We self-funded the business. We found an angel that believed in it. And only now, I think the business community of Kenya sees premium brand as being something interesting and successful in our market. But that was not something that was not the case 15 years ago when we were starting. There was such little investment interest in manufacturing, a lot more interest in tech, and a lot more interest in farming. And so this way of how do we add value and create jobs, it's for me, it's a no-brainer. And we just have been delighted to see the sector broadly growing. We have so many great brands here now that are really delivering
yeah.
quality for customer, quality of products, and quality for the investor as well. Good returns and good trajectories.
Grounded's quality is amazing. How do you balance global standards with local realities?
In designing our products, we did look for the most simple, natural solutions. And in doing that, we developed a manufacturing process that's highly repeatable for quality. In developing the grounded solution, we did not just look to governments, we just looked for the most non-toxic bodies out there in the world and what they were recommending. So our solutions are simple because we wanted to stay away from any of the chemical innovation that might just be too confusing for our customers. Grounded products are so natural that I have some issues navigating local regulations because they're too natural for KEBS
Wow.
standards, for example. And so one of the challenging elements of us is having the right kind of conversations with the governing bodies here to explain what we're doing and to explain that we really care so much about customer. Where I think KEBS has sort of lost its way is um, KEBS does have a hard challenge, right, of protecting the Kenyan consumer. But they do it within a certain paradigm, and we're introducing a new paradigm. So we've had a lot of interesting chats with the government officials about what is scouring powder, you know? They're having an existential crisis because my scouring powder is biodegradable and dissolvable, and they wanted it to have like non-dissolvable, non-biodegradable material in there. And so
That's
these are some of the
interesting. Yeah.
conversations that I have. I'm like, we can't, yes, we can't provide better solutions for Kenyan consumers if we don't open our eyes to the environmental impact of what we're doing. And and yeah, so we have some challenges in navigating towards natural standards here in Kenya.
And I love that this isn't just about products, it's about communities, farmers. Of course, no one builds anything like this alone, which brings me to leadership and letting go. At what point did you know that you wanted to grow grounded?
When we started Grounded, I started in my house. And so that immediately meant that my family was involved. So product development was, my husband was also in there with me trying to figure out products. My kids were testers. Um, and from day one, I had people around me helping me build the idea. It hit a certain point where, yes, okay, this idea might have legs. And at that time, it was, all right, Allison, my sister, I need your help on the sales and marketing side. And that's when we also hired more production people, started to hire business development. I mean, so you just start to build the team pole pole. But it did start with the anchor of my sister Allison joining, and from there we've built. Yeah, we have about 35 employees now. Very strong women-led team across all different divisions, and we yeah we've been able to build such a passionate team because they believe in what they're doing. We all believe in what we're doing.
Yeah. How do you protect the vision while letting others help you lead?
What is a very nice thing about Grounded is because these values are baked into everything that we do. So the value of care for customer, and care for environment is just baked into everything. So the consistency of value. It's not like we're talking about being authentic and natural while, mining or pulling petroleum out of the earth. So everything about our business is set up with intentionality and with value. Leading by example, is definitely an element. Leading, and by example, I mean, yes, being passionate about what we're doing, not taking ourselves too seriously, having that demonstration of care for customer, um, leading by example, bringing people in, as we bring new team members in, we are just seeing so much of the light in their eyes of, yes, I'm excited to be part of a company that has this intentionality and that we have that commonality as a team, that we all do believe that this is better. This is a better solution.
What makes your story more unique is that Grounded is women's led. So let's dive right into that. Grounded is women and family run. How intentional was that?
The family part was there from day one. Um, and when you're doing something new, working with family has been like incredibly powerful because we needed to put in long hours and big thoughts, and doing that with family, just it's a safe space. Allison and I have been working together since basically day one, and that feels like such a big part of our ability to grow as a company, is that we have such a strong team, such dedication at the top. The women element, Yes, I think it's just so important that we bring women into the workplace and women into industries that we're not traditionally part of. So women in manufacturing is a small but growing element globally, definitely here in Kenya. But we've been able to find so many female engineers, that are out there looking for jobs and not finding, great, good opportunities. Um, so when you go with a women focus, we've found incredible talent and we've been able to really deliver value for customer because we care. Our customers are largely women and we care about their condition. And so from the design of the business, providing better solutions for women was essential. And having women in the company designing better solutions for women felt like the right thing to do. And in Kenya, we have incredibly talented female engineers that have been able to help us grow that vision.
I love that. What have you learned as a person from building with women around you?
I mean, women are fierce. Women are fierce. We have so much capacity. Every woman on our team, we have all the same struggles of wanting to perform at work, but also knowing that we have people at home to take care of, and parents and cousins and neighbors, and just being caregivers broadly while still being professionals has been just something that we all have to navigate. I think we're capable of so much, and we also put so much pressure on ourselves to do so much. We try to think about it grounded as trying to help focus our efforts on the things that have the biggest impact so that we can still have that energy when we leave work to contribute to our communities and to our families. I do try to encourage all the moms in my company to find someone else to cook dinner
Mhm.
because that always stresses me out thinking about this one working so hard all day and going home and then needing to cook cook dinner for everyone. So and we also do provide lunch at Grounded also for this reason, is we want people to just be well fed, happy, and then nourished to be able to deliver not only for the company but for their families.
It's more like building a family, also, not just a company. Building something like this comes with a lot of pressure. So, I want to talk about the inner side of entrepreneurship. What has entrepreneurship taught you about yourself?
I did not think I was designed for entrepreneuring. I very much liked a corporate experience. I liked being a fierce cog in a big machine. So one, in having the passion for the product solution of Grounded, I realized that I can be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So that was definitely the first realization of, oh, okay, I can do this. And I think in the early days, when you're setting up a company, you're like, gosh, there's so many people that know how to do this better than me. There's so many people that know how to get a product into Carrefour. So many people who know how to blend essential oils to make good sense. There's so many things that you're doing that you're not the best at. After a couple years experience, you realize you are the best person to navigate those things actually, because you know your products, know your customer, and there's no one else out there that can actually do it better than you. So entrepreneuring has been a surprising journey of confidence building. Um, and and in that way of being honest, where do you definitely need help? Where can you hack it yourself? And I think, as I've grown, I've realized I can actually navigate so many things on my own. Entrepreneuring is also a challenge because you want to make sure you're paying your people. So every month, right? In building a business, it is that like can you make payroll? Can you make payroll? So the financial stress overall at all is definitely something that's taken some getting used to. Um, I started grounded with a strong financial sense, but definitely where I've built the most confidence as an entrepreneur is understanding my numbers. And that gives a lot of female entrepreneurs can shy away from learning the finance side. And my biggest tip for everyone out there is to get yourself familiar with the economics of the business, because that builds confidence on top of everything else. And that means the end month payroll stress starts to become less and less because you've done good financial planning, know that you're charging the right price for your products that helps, the economics of the business work out.
So, when you are under all that stress, what do you enjoy to do that helps you decompress?
Mm. there's a couple of ways to cope with stress. One is definitely having other entrepreneur friends. So I definitely love having the chats with other people navigating this wild world. And it's the feeling of, okay, yeah, we all have some of these same challenges, but we're going to do it, you know?
Exactly.
Um, so I think, yeah, having women's groups, women's entrepreneurial groups, those have been really impactful in my growth. And then having a place to play, you know,
Mhm.
um, and going to live music gigs and watching sports and being out in community and in bars is very uplifting for me. It's very energizing for me. Um, and then another element of, you know, soul nourishment is children. My children are incredible.
Uh,
I like being with them. They're also at good ages. Maybe I wouldn't have said that when they were super little, but
yeah,
now I'm just like, oh, I just want all the time with them that
yeah.
I can. And it's everything. It gives you the fuel. Mm.
Have there been moments when building quietly felt harder than being loud? And this actually resonates with this podcast, Quiet Empire. You don't have to be loud to prove who you are. You can build your empire quietly and then show who you are.
I have never thought about building quietly. And so I love this element of this podcast as well. In contrast to some other industries, let's say in tech industries, you've got these bros out there with no product, no revenue, no customers, and they're pitching for millions of dollars very loudly at very high valuations. And I just think so many authentic businesses, you know, that's not the way we're going to go about things, is to be loud. When you authentically believe in what you're doing, you don't need to be loud.
I love that. As we near the end, I would love to reflect on what you've built and where you're headed. Looking back, what are you the most proud of building?
Well, in the spirit of motherhood being a thread in this chat, I'm pretty proud of building some humans. You know, that's probably my biggest accomplishment. It's still works in progress, you know, make them into positive contributors to society. Um, I think with Grounded, we've succeeded in building a product and a brand that delivers a bit of happiness and it just makes people feel good. And so that's ultimately what we want to put out there, the good vibes. At Grounded, we used to have good vibes on all of our ingredients. Kebs made me get rid of that recently, but it was so much a part of what we do is,
Yeah,
you know, just bake the feels into it. And so we're just proud that everything that is out there that we've made is better for people, better for the environment, and makes people feel good.
exactly. I'm sad that you had to get rid of the good vibes. So, how has the definition of success changed since you started Grounded?
As Grounded has grown, our ambitions have grown. The first element of success for Grounded was knowing that we had customers that loved our products. The next level of success is financial stability. How do we build a financially strong company so we can continue to deliver those products to customers? Now, the measure of success is we have developed something unique for this market and we want to bring it to other parts of the world.
Oh,
So the ambition is getting bigger.
yeah. Congratulations for that.
Thank you. So very ambitiously, we should be on some shelves in Ireland and the UK by the end of the year. Um, and that is a factor of we developed an innovative solution in this market using our raw ingredients and developing a brand for Kenya. And there has so much potential for us to contribute to the global conversation about non-toxics with all those values. It's an opportunity to represent this part of the world as well. Africa is not traditionally known for its high quality consumer products. So we're really excited to try with some other brands in Nairobi. We're just trying to go out there and say, hey, actually, Kenyan brands we have the best stuff. Kenyan brands are incredibly inspiring right now. I see so much quality, so much ambition, so much authenticity of connecting to nature and to connecting to quality. So it feels like a nice movement right now of Kenyan brands playing in the international space.
What does responsible growth look like to you?
Responsible growth for Grounded is ensuring that we stay true to our values. And we've baked those into every aspect of the business. We have SOPs around a lot of them. We have B Corp. We're a B Corp certified company that also bakes those values in. So growing without compromising on our values is the ultimate, guideline for me.
Lovely. So before we wrap up, let's do a quick lightning round. It just needs to be short answers. A daily habit that keeps you centered.
It's the morning snuggles with the kids. I have to go there. It's just such a beautiful way to wake up. I'm also not a very good morning person.
Okay.
And so this habit is very important for me to approach my day with a bit more lightness.
Yeah.
But yeah, the morning connection with my kids is such a beautiful thing. In a wellness way, I love tongue scraping. I don't know if you've come across this, but it's an Ayurvedic way. But you basically, should I talk about this? Should I stop
Yes,
talking about
please.
this? Our tongues work very hard for us.
Mhm.
And the tongues is actually, our mouth is where the start of our immunity and the start of our digestion. Our mouths are so important in our overall health. So taking care of our tongue
Yeah.
is important. But there's an Ayurvedic practice called tongue scraping, and you basically just get the gunk off your tongue at the end of the day. I cannot recommend it enough. It feels so satisfying.
Mhm.
And I look at my husband who doesn't tongue scrape, and I'm like, ugh, going
Yeah.
to bed with all that gunk on your tongue.
A value you turn to often.
Panda playfulness. How can we bring some playfulness into something? Yeah.
One thing you wish founders understood more often.
It's important to believe in what you do. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs do. It's important to make sure that you are continuously delivering on what you want to see for your business and what you want your customers to experience. And just hold that in your heart and soul as you navigate all the different challenges of business that might pull you away from that.
One favorite way to unwind.
Beer. Beer and music. I'll say beer and music together. Yeah.
Yes. All right, Megan, thank you so much for your story. It was truly beautiful, and it shows when you build with heart and intention, communities, you can truly change how people live. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah. Thank you for listening to Quiet Empire. Until next time, trust the quiet work.